What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I'm joined by Tyler, and we are here to talk about a theory for Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. This is going to be, is Luke evil? Very similar to what we are doing with Pirates of the Caribbean. This is a community series kind of thing. So if you have any theories of Star Wars that you want us to talk about, specifically Episode 8, leave them in the comments, and we will pick our top favorites, our top 3 favorites, and we'll make videos on those theories. So we're going to start out again with this video. We're going to talk about Luke, but obviously Luke connects to basically everything in these movies. Even if he's not in 7 very much, has an important role. So Tyler, what does this title of the video really mean?
Well, the question is Luke still on the side of light, or is he now on the dark side? Or is he evil because of the last thing that we heard him say in the teaser trailer, which you would hear like either the Emperor or Supreme Leader Snoke say, I only know one truth, the Jedi must end, or something along those lines, right? The time of the Jedi must end, or something.
Right.
Okay, well, he's a Jedi. He was taught by Master Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, both Jedi. His father was a Jedi. So I think it's kind of strange that he became a Master Jedi. So I thought it was a little weird that he said he's the one that said that the time of the Jedi to end, basically. It's time for the Jedi to end. But now, a while ago, after we saw The Force Awakens, that night, I had a theory. We talked about the theory. We have the video. The link to that video will be at the end of this video, where I talked about how Rey might have been either on the dark side or kind of she was moving close to the dark side, kind of, and I believe that Rey was trained by Luke. I believe that Rey is Luke's daughter, but this all connects to Luke, and why I'm saying it is because I don't think, and I think it's almost pretty certain, at least for me at this point, that Luke was not training any of his like Padawans, basically. I don't think he was training any of them in the ways of the Jedi whatsoever. I think Luke, over the years, before he started wanting to like train people in the ways of the Force, I think through his own like findings and learnings and going to Jedi temples and this and that, I think he learned a different way. And they kind of hinted at it in how they were talking about how Rey said in the teaser for The Last Jedi, Rey said she feels light, she feels darkness, and she feels a balance. And then he says there's so much more, or it's so much bigger, or something like that. I think he says it's so much bigger. So he obviously knows something. So I think that Luke is at balance within himself, because we did see in Return of the Jedi, when he's facing Darth Vader, there's a lot of anger in Luke.
Right.
And he doesn't fully go to the dark side when he's doing that. There's a lot of anger. And that anger, as we're going to show you, that anger can also be seen when Rey is fighting Ben Solo in The Force Awakens. But he kind of almost embraced the anger and hatred because of what Vader said about Leia when he's fighting Vader, and Vader can't handle it. Now, people are going to say, well, that doesn't mean he was on the dark side. No, it doesn't. I'm not saying he was. But I think he learned a way to control that, where you can still have you could still have feelings, but you can still, you could control them and be level-headed and still be basically a good person. So I think that's what he's done.
Right.
So he's found that. So now he's not training them in the ways of the Jedi. He's basically just training them in the ways of the Force, but at a balance.
Especially because like Jedi, what people, like Tyler said, like when people say, well, counter that, and he this, he that, the Jedi mentioned in like episodes 1 through 3, like they are supposed to kind of be like these perfect symbols, but what we find out is like they're just not.
Right.
And especially in 4,
They're
5,
not.
and 6, like Luke is the only Jedi left after Ben and after Yoda dies. So like the definition that people go to say like you're wrong, the definition they go to, that's a dead principle. The Jedi is whatever like Luke is at that moment.
The Jedi is right. For all intents and purposes, the title of the movie is perfect. The Last Jedi. Now people are like, well, Jedi is plural, so it could mean Rey and Luke. It's not. It isn't, because it was said in the opening sequence of The Force Awakens how they're looking for the last Jedi, Luke Skywalker.
Right.
Luke Skywalker is the last Jedi. It ends with Luke. So any decision that he makes from this point forward, or whatever, any decision that he makes for the Jedi, what the Jedi code will be, what the Jedi will be, that's what they will be. The past doesn't matter. He's the last Jedi. He's the only Jedi. So what he decides them to be, they are. And if he decides them that they're over, then they're over. They no longer exist. Which that's what I think he's done. Because as the prophecy goes, I don't know the prophecy word for word, but how they'll bring, whoever it is, will bring balance to the Force. But what I find interesting is that Rey senses a balance. But we know, here's the funny thing, she senses a balance, right? But we know, well, there can't possibly be a balance because the First Order and Snoke are basically, they're bigger and badder than the Empire was. Yeah. And that was when the world was, or the universe, the galaxy, was out of balance. And that was because of the Empire. Then the Empire was destroyed. So everybody thought there was going to be peace, that there was the balance of light and dark. But then the First Order comes out of it, it's worse. But so how could she sense a balance? I know how she can sense a balance, because it's standing right behind her in Luke Skywalker, right?
Right.
So that is what I think. Now you can still sense light and dark, because it's always going to exist. That will always exist, light and dark. But you can there's still a common ground, there's a middle ground, and that's what Luke's found. That's what he, I think, was teaching to his students. They were not Jedi, they weren't training to be Jedi Knights. So here's my theory to that, now that I said that. And so I guess what I'm saying is, if you watch Star Wars Rebels, and you know from Season 3, Bendu, how he's neither light nor dark, he's not a Jedi or Sith, he's just one with the Force, basically. That's what I see Luke as. That's it. He's not a gray Jedi. He's not a Jedi. He's basically like Ahsoka. He has the Force. He's one with the Force. He's now at balance. Probably the only one that's ever been at, well, not the only one, but probably one of the best to be at balance, the most powerful to be at balance. And that's it. He's nothing. He's not good, he's not bad, because he's experienced, he's gone through so much. But here, so he was, as I said many times, so he was not teaching them the way of the Jedi, he was teaching them how to use the Force, but be at balance. So it's okay to have feelings. So what I think is, he taught in such a way that he didn't fully understand. He himself may have, but for you to understand something and then relay something, and it's probably like a large concept to understand, because it's an internal conflict that you kind of come over, and all these things that you go through. It's kind of hard to teach other people that. But he tried, but he didn't fully understand it. And again, I think his daughter is Rey. She was young, very young at the time, naive, obviously. And when you're young, you have tantrums. So I think when she had tantrums, but because he didn't teach her in the ways of the Jedi, he allowed feelings. When she had tantrums, she probably was pretty dangerous, right? But then because she was a little girl, there's probably times where she was overly good and loving. So then she radiated probably the good side of the Force, the light. But then you look at, obviously, his nephew, Ben Solo, and he's older. He's 10 years older. We know that he liked not liked, because he never met him.
Admired.
He wanted to learn, he admired Anakin Skywalker. He wanted to learn about him. So he obviously likes history. He likes probably the history of the Jedi and the Sith and all that stuff. I'm not going to call him a nerd, but he was just into history, which is cool, I think.
Yeah.
So he was into that, but because he's not fully, um, because it's Leia and Han Solo. So and again, like if you watch her other videos, you're probably not going to agree, but I think that Rey, somewhere in her blood, not only is Skywalker, but is also a Kenobi. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. That's fine. But either way, even if she doesn't have Kenobi in him or in her, she still is more powerful than Kylo or than Ben Solo. That's a
Right.
fact. So because she was little but super powerful, that probably made Ben extremely jealous, very jealous, because he actually cares about history. He actually cares about the Force. He cares about all these things. He probably has all these dreams and ideas and all these things. He probably wants to take over when Luke's gone. He probably wants to be, taking over and teaching. I can picture that, right? Um, Cousin, and she's like little and she's being all whatever, just cute and whatever. And all these like creatures probably come over to her because of her energy is so light. But then like when she's angry or whatever, or just she could probably just do things without even trying.
Right.
Like pick up things with the force, and now that she's not even trying, he probably struggled. So that made him jealous. It made him angry because it should be him. He should be the one that's more powerful. So then he started to move his feelings because they were more dark side. But Luke might have not caught it because he might have thought, well, maybe it's the age, teenager, right? So he started moving towards the dark side, but Rey, I think, in my opinion, it seems like Rey may have kind of too, mainly because of her age or something must have happened. But I truly do think that she started moving towards the dark side because she is very powerful, and it's kind of like anytime that you picture someone who's powerful with the Force, the good side that was that powerful.
Right. Yeah. They always tap
You
into
just
the
can't.
anger that
They're
that
always
doesn't.
on the other side, and it's because they use the Force while using emotion. That's
Right.
why. Because they allow emotion. That is what. It's not just emotion. There's more to it. But when you do that, when you allow that, it's like you're opening up. You're fully opening the door instead of just opening it halfway. Um, so I think she naturally did. So everything I think kind of fell apart because of that, because of Ben, because of her, and all that. So, and again, it's because he didn't fully understand the balance that was within him, and how to pass that on to others. So then after failing Ben Solo, having to he loses the Jedi Temple, all of his students either are killed or whatever. Snoke has won basically. Somehow, I don't know if Luke let it happen. I don't know. We don't know yet. He had to send his daughter away to protect her, or maybe because she was too dangerous or whatever. So he keeps losing all of these things, and he keeps failing. Luke keeps failing. So so that's another reason why he probably fully, instead of looking and saying maybe I should change, right? Maybe I can't be at balance right now. Maybe the dark side is too powerful right now, and maybe me just being at balance isn't good enough. Maybe I have to be light. Like, he didn't do that. Does that make sense what I just said?
Yeah.
So maybe instead of being selfish, I'm not calling him selfish, but instead of being selfish, maybe he had to throw the burden himself away for the greater good. The greater good. Does that make sense to you, Alex?
Yes.
Okay. So I think that all happened, but then by abandoning the ways that Ben Kenobi taught him, that Yoda taught him, that who knows, maybe Force Ghost Anakin taught him, before he started the Jedi Temple and all that. So he was taught by all these master Jedi, and then he ends up abandoning all of what they taught him. That takes a lot of guts to do that, to eliminate an entire mind that lasted for thousands of years. And you know what I mean? Like well, what they thought of as protectors. So in a way, you almost have to wonder his motives, because even though yes, sometimes what the Jedi did wasn't the best, but for the most part, they did do a lot of good. So it's you have to wonder, what does balance really mean? Does balance mean that he's good, or does balance mean that he no longer wants to interfere, like he no longer like has a moral compass, right? Because being at balance almost means, to me, you almost don't have like a 100% opinion on something. So like if something that Snoke says makes sense, maybe he might agree and not do anything about it. You know what I mean? So in that sense, Luke isn't a good guy. He can't be, because he just can't be. Because when you're at balance, that doesn't mean you're 100% good. You're 50% good, you're 50% bad. You could be either way. And then you look at the poster, and his face is red, just like Kylo's. The only thing that is light, basically that's glowing and shining, is Rey.
Yep.
That's it, not Luke. So all of that stuff, I know it was a lot of me saying and a lot of stuff, but I think all of it actually makes sense. But you really do have to wonder. Now, I don't think he's evil, but I think his new way of thinking, it also could be that because of all the death that's happened and all the loss and him failing and all that stuff, he might not even realize that just being by himself for so long, which we see that shot at the end of the teaser, and it's the cave and it's just him, and it's very dark, and then you see the light surrounding him because he's leaving the cave, and then you see him, and it's like, that's like a sad looking shot. And you could see, you don't really see it's Luke. It is Luke, but we can't like visually see it's Luke. But all you know is it's an old man, because he's kind of hunched a little. It's an old man in a cave, and he's alone.
Right.
And he's been alone. That's kind of depressing. So then you almost have to wonder too, again, he allows himself feelings. So then you have to wonder, okay, well, is he at balance, or being alone, being basically depressed, does that make him not care about the galaxy at all anymore?
Right. Yeah, I think it's gonna. I'm sure that will be. It seems like something they will definitely do, where he'll have doubts about coming back because he's failed so much, and that's when we'll find out his backstory.
Looks like you're exactly right, because that shot, to me, he looks reluctant to leave.
Right.
Because they're still on that planet, Ahch-To. It doesn't look like he's looking back like, should I even be leaving?
Right.
Right? And it's not, does the galaxy deserve me? It's, do I even want to get involved in this? Or do I want the universe and the galaxy to put itself back in balance?
Right.
So it's almost like but see, that's a bad approach, right? That's not a good approach, where you just let things happen and hope that things will work themselves out.
Yeah.
But that seems to be like what he's done.
Right.
Because when he sees Rey at the end of The Force Awakens, he's probably thinking like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here.
Yeah. It's kind of a very selfish way of thinking about it.
Whole everything.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's a selfish way of him thinking about it.
Yeah, that's how it seems. Like to me, he's not the Luke Skywalker that we knew. Which I actually kind of really like that they're doing that.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. But we very much we might actually see Luke or Rey have to battle Luke. Like we very much might see Luke where he might agree with Kylo Ren or Snoke. Right. Because again, he thinks the Jedi should end. And I think he thinks that the Jedi should end. But here's the thing to me too. He thinks the Jedi should end when again, like I said earlier, when you have the Force more than the galaxy has ever known. Worse than the Empire. Luke doesn't say, I only know in truth, it's time for the Jedi to end, and the Sith.
Yeah.
right? Like, that's not what he says. He just says, I only know one truth. It's time for the Jedi to end. Okay, but if the Jedi ends, then nothing's standing in the way of the bad guys, right?
Yeah.
So, it's just I don't know. It's kind of like not confusing. It's just confusing as to what his thinking is. Like, what is he thinking?
Yeah.
Does he think that letting the First Order take everything over, that creates balance? Because then there's no because I already know, I could see what he's saying. What he's saying is, well, if we eliminate, because if we always have light and dark, there's always going to be a conflict, and they're never gonna give up. So if we're the ones to give up, then that conflict disappears, right?
Right.
Then we're at balance. But that isn't balance. That's you gave up.
Right.
But, and again, we said he's depressed. Maybe he thinks giving up is the right choice. I don't know. But, and like, so, just like we said in the beginning of the video, or the title of the video, is Luke evil? I don't know. I guess that's up to you, and I guess that's up to what ends up happening in Star Wars Episode 8.
Yeah, and
But
what you
for me,
and what you define as evil.
And what you define as evil. Right, that's true. For me, I don't think he's evil, but I don't think he's good.
Yeah, definitely.
He's definitely not. Not that he's a. You don't have to be. So you could be on the light, but not a Jedi. But
Yeah.
I don't think he's on the light. Like, I know he's not on the light. And I almost think by being in the middle, you're actually teetering closer to the bad than the good. Because you almost don't have, it seems like you're not standing up for anything at that point.
Right.
Or you choose what you're going to stand up for, but sometimes you might not stand up for the right thing. So that's at least that's one of my theories. We're going to have more.
Yeah, so we'll, like we said, this is the first of 3 for this week. We're going to have 2 more coming out on Tuesday and Thursday of this week. We also, again, want to know what you guys think, in general, what you think about this video. Make sure you tell us. If you think Luke's evil, all the things that Tyler just mentioned. Make sure you leave theories for us to talk about. If you want us to talk about, if you have any questions about Episode 8, the trailer, anything you think could happen in 8, like a bigger storyline or like a bigger theme, let us know. We'll pick our favorites and do videos on them. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Make sure you like this video and share it, and we will see you on Tuesday for our next theories.